start with some breaking news coming in. Well, the United States has attacked the Syrian Air Base with about 60 missiles after the Syrian Chemcial Attack on Tuesday. Dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired by the United States at an air base in Syria. The target was the Shayrat airfield. Now, about 60 US Tomahawk missiles fired from warships in the Mediterranean Sea targeted an air base in retaliation for the chemical weapons attack that Americans believe the Syrian government aircraft launched with a nerve agent, possibly the sarin. President Donald Trump has called on the civilized nations to join the United States in seeking to end the slaughter and the bloodshed in Syria. Trump says that the strike on Syria was vital for the national security interest of the United States. And that's the big breaking news we're getting for you this morning. The United States has attacked a Syrian air base with about 60 missiles. This, of course, is after the Syrian chemical attack that took place on Tuesday, where about 70 people lost their lives and thousands of people are still struggling for their health. Going across to our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, for more details. Geeta, what explains this change in stand by the Trump administration? Because Trump had clearly said that the US would not interfere in Syria, and now we have these air raids by the United States on Syria.
It is shocking because it's a marked shift from candidate Donald Trump, who in his entire campaign kept saying and kept pulling up the Obama administration on their stand and their involvement in Syria. And now, after the reports, it is very different, Vandana, when you take charge and you become president or the head of state of any country. Then the responsibilities are different. As president of the United States of America, that has a leadership role in maintaining peace, he has a different role altogether. And the reports that he got of the chemical weapons attacks against civilians by the Syrian administration, with visuals of children, women, and men dead or grievously injured or harmed for life, is the reason why Donald Trump, in a very dramatic military strike, and one of the biggest military strikes by the U.S. administration, had ordered that attack on the Syrian Air Base taking down that air base would mean it is an absolute act of aggression, which is what Syria has come out with. The Syrian networks have come out with a statement of Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, in which he's calling this an aggression. This certainly was a move against the chemical attacks by the Syrian administration, but now we will have to see how the United States of America, this Trump administration, handles its own foreign policy vis-a-vis China and vis-a-vis Russia, two countries that have always come out and said that while there are problems and a civil strife that is on in Syria, meddling in the internal affairs would not be right. Also, that Syrian administration is also trying to fight the extremist organizations such as ISIS, and Russia has been in support of the Syrian administration. So the attack has taken place. We do know that it is a serious one of the biggest attacks. But how is the U.S. administration, how is Donald Trump now will try to convince and explain his actions when the meeting between Xi Jinping and him happens, as also how will he explain the stand with Russia, who he justified throughout his campaign as being a country that is supporting the right cause, trying to take down terrorists in that region, which is what the Syrian government is also trying to do. So a marked shift there in the new and the current administration's foreign policy, especially vis-a-vis Syria.
Right, Geeta, like you're pointing out, the Russian equation here is very interesting because of course, Trump's alleged closeness to Russia and at the same time, Russia's backing of the Syrian regime. Have the Russians responded?
Well, right now there has been no word or reaction. It's only too early for any reaction to come from the Russian side. But Russian military personnel and aircraft are in Syria have been a part of the Syrian conflict and the Syrian administration's arsenal. So we do not know whether if there were any, say, Russian military equipment in that base that got damaged during the attack. But certainly this will raise questions by the Russian side, Vandana, and Russia will be posing questions to Donald Trump as to what happened overnight, how come. These are the very same reports that were being put forth to the Obama administration. This is the very same reports on the basis of which Obama administration was taking on the Syrian regime. And that was the time when Donald Trump had said that there is no way that Donald Trump will be carrying out the same policies of Obama administration in Syria. What changed, and how can a report that could be, according to Russia, according to Donald Trump in the past, falsified and not showing the true picture of how Russia, how China, and how Syrian government have been trying very hard to fight extremist forces, the very same that are causing instability in the region. How has that changed? These would require serious explaining from the Trump administration. But for now, this certainly is one of the biggest military strikes by the Trump administration, and the first ones at that, ordered by Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, against Syria, which would certainly cost Syria dearly.
Right, Geeta, and also Trump had said that the strike on Syria was vital for the national security interests of the United States. Was there any specific threat as a result of which the strike was carried out?
Well, when he says vital to U.S.'s national security, it doesn't ordinarily or really mean that it was a direct threat to the United States of America, the land of U.S., but U.S. has interests in West Asia. Shayrat Air Base is critical and central to Syria, and the entire West Asian conflict is a space, is an area that the United States of America is absolutely involved in. Iraq being one such place, Libya, and to have Syria destabilize the region, have weapons, have support from foreign forces such as Russia, as also China, is something that can really concern the United States of America.
Geeta, we'll have to leave it there, but indicating a complete change in stand, President Donald Trump has carried out strikes in Syria. Thank you, Geeta, for getting us all those details this morning.